Welcome back to... So you've run into Epic RPG. Now what?
We're going back to the beginning.
We mean...
The beginning.
The beginnings. The very early beginnings.
What we're going to cover first is your first few objectives in the game and the commands that you need to run, as well as some important research.
Ah, good. It's not just me.
As well as some important resources and just general game info that will hopefully help you not feel completely lost getting into the game.
Okay. Epic RPG is a very, very broad game. It is, at its essence, a text-based adventure game, which is also a resetting optimization game. If you played Adventure Capitalist or any of those games where you start out, you do a thing, and then you reset and you start again, Epic RPG is one of those, essentially. But it is an RPG as well.
Yes, there is story and you're working towards a goal. The other difference is there's multiplayer components in this.
And they are mandatory.
Yes.
They're not like you can just choose to ignore the multiplayer and play it solo. No. You will be playing with other people.
Yeah.
There are things you must do with other people because you cannot progress in the game if you don't. And there are a lot of things to do in the game.
Yes, there is a lot.
Yeah. You've got farming, cooking, crafting, gathering, horse breeding, pet raising, gambling, which is still bad, by the way. Professions.
We're not going to go through everything today, because some of them you don't really need to know right now.
So, what's the first question a new player is going to be asking?
Well, I've started, or I'm going to start, but what do I do? What's my first goal? What am I trying to do? What is my first few moves? Your first objectives. You want to learn how to not die. You want to learn how to get items. You want to learn how to craft your gear, which links back to not dying. And you want to learn how to trade your items. You also want to improve your stats with horse and enchants. Going back to the learning how to not die.
Everything here ties back to learning to not die.
And then finally, you want to do your first dungeon and start advancing through the game.
We will go through all of these objectives one by one and also refer back to the wiki a bit and some metagame things, as in social or just stuff that is not necessarily in-game but is related to the game, that you should know when you're interacting with people, so you don't get too overwhelmed and so you don't suffer the I am a noob, I don't know what the hell I'm doing and I feel incredibly embarrassed and I don't actually want to do any of this because, oh my god, social anxiety, what the fuck. Sorry, did I call you out? First things first. How about you use RPG Start and check out the tutorial. This is going to walk you through the very, very basics of hunting, healing, and crafting. And it is a good place to start, and the developer, Loom, who you will hear us refer to a lot, spent quite a bit of time on it, so please use it because you'll make him feel so much better about it. Now, once you're done using that and you realise that it didn't actually tell you anything that you actually need to know how to start the game, you can work on your first overarching goal.
Your first overarching goal is to get to and complete Dungeon 10 so you can time travel.
To be able to do this, you're going to need to craft the Edgy set. To be able to craft the Edgy set, you're going to need to reach level 50, and you're going to have collected a certain amount of items and crafted logs. To craft the logs, you're going to need to learn to harvest items and trade effectively, and to collect the items you need for the Edgy set, you're also going to need to learn how to defeat enemies without dying yourself. Your first objective, not dying when hunting.
Yes. There's lots that goes into not dying, but let's start with your profile. So running the RPGP or RPG profile command to check out where you're at. Let's start at the top. You've got your level and XP. They're pretty self-explanatory, your levels and your experience points. More experience gets you more levels. Simple. Area shows your current and maximum area. This becomes really important later on when you're talking about trading.
Defense reduces the damage enemies can do to you directly. Attack means that you kill things faster, which means that you also take less damage as a result of them having less opportunity to do attacks.
Yeah.
Life is how long you can survive, and if it reaches 0, you die and you lose a level.
Every level that you gain increases your attack by 1, your defense by 1, and your life by 5 points. You will avoid dying if your stats are high enough to reduce the amount of damage taken from each hunt or adventure command to 0. Or you heal.
Or you can just sit there and use lots of life potions, but the time that you forget to use a life potion and die...
Yeah.
Well, let's just say you're going to do it and you're going to feel bad about it.
Yeah. And as a newbie, you are going to die.
Yeah,
You are going to forget to heal, you are going to do something, you are going to lose a level.
We feel your pain, we've all been there.
Which is why we're trying to help you not do that. The easiest way to increase your stats in the beginning of the game is to go and buy some armour and a sword.
Armour and weapons will increase your stats by the amount shown on the weapon craft page. Next, you're going to want to think about getting some items so you can thinking about crafting stuff.
Yes.
And while you're thinking about that, I'm going to go give myself a headache pill for all the thinking I'm doing while you talk about that.
Okay.
Ow.
So, you're thinking about crafting stuff. What do you need for crafting? Well, you need items that drop from gather commands, and these are fish, logs, apples, and rubies. And as you go up, there's higher tiers of these. Each gather command gets you a certain amount of items, and you can sometimes drop a smaller amount of higher level items.
The chance for higher level items to drop, as well as the quantity of the items that you will get, will improve over time by a couple of factors. There's the tier of command that you'll use, which changes with area, and the professions and time travel statistics, which you're not going to need to worry about at the start. The only things that are going to affect you right now are the commands that you have in your face under RPG Ready, and the commands that will be available in the next area, which you can check with RPG Help. Items that drop from hunts are generally referred to by a couple of terms. They can be called mob drops, mats, or monster items, or a couple of other things which I'm sure people will come into the comments and correct me on.
Yeah.
Initially, these are difficult to get. You only have a half chance of any hunt of running into a monster that can drop an item, and then your chance of getting that item off of that monster is very small to start with.
Yeah.
But it does improve with time travels completed. But that does go back to that initial overarching goal of go finish D10 and do your first time travel.
The next objective is to start crafting things. It helps to be aware of a couple of things early on. Items that drop from hunts are incredibly rare, so you shouldn't use these to craft gear and items unless you've got a lot of them already.
Yeah, excess. In
Excess.
fact. And what is excess? More than you need to craft edgy armour, which you can check in Recipes 2, RPG Recipes 2, which you will need to complete that first overarching goal of Dungeon 10.
And each of these mob drops in certain areas. So you should stay in those areas until you've got enough of that mob drop.
Patience is a virtue, my friend.
Yes. There are 2 types of crafting. You've got item crafting and gear crafting. When you craft items, you have a very small chance to get a 10% refund on the craft price.
When we're talking about crafting stuff, one of the more important features of Epic RPG is the fact that you can dismantle items as well. So not only can you craft higher tiers of items, you can dismantle from a higher tier to a lower tier. You'll see this in recipes. When you dismantle, you get 80% of the craft price. Now, this only applies to higher tiers of logs, fish, and apples. You can't dismantle gear. Gear can only be sold. The main goal of crafting is to get enough of the items that you need to be able to make the items that you need to give you the minimum stats you need to avoid dying or to be able to actually complete the dungeons, because the dungeons will require specific gear. It is absolutely possible through crafting to make your life much harder than it needs to be. You can actually completely ruin your game. And one of the reasons that we made this video, one of the reasons that we're making this video, is that the first time travel, TT0 as it's known, TT0 Area 10 is basically a graveyard of abandoned accounts from people getting there and realizing that they needed an ultra log and don't have any. And then going, oh, I need 250,000 logs to make an ultra log.
Yeah.
We can help fix that with this next little bit called trading.
Trading.
We like the trading game.
We do. The trading game is the game within the game. If you get your head around this early, it will make your life infinitely easier in the game.
This is how Violet was able to break the game violently. Violently, even.
Not exactly.
Yes, it is.
It helped.
Yes, it is.
But the goblin...
Your bullshit luck is only a part of it.
You go. I need a moment.
So, trading then. We cover the trading game in lots of detail in a separate video, which you can find here. Every area has a trade rate for every item that can be found in RPG Trade. You only have access to the trade rates for the maximum area that you're in. When you move between areas 3 and 4, they change, and then from 5 to 6 they change, and then from 7 to 8 they change, 8 to 9, and then 9 to 10. And a lack of awareness of this can really screw you up if you decide to just try and push through and ignore everything. Now, on the note of grinding those items, you're going to want to not die. We'll go back to the whole, not dying thing. And one of the better ways to not die is to have a horse companion.
Yes.
Now, your first companion that you'll ever get in this game is a horse. You'll need to go to the shop, you'll need to buy one. You can try and eat it if you want. We'll let you find out what happens if you use RPG or eat horse.
He made me.
I did. Seriously, do it with a tier 1 horse. It doesn't matter, you can just buy another one. Anyway. You can check on your horse stats using RPG Horse. It will start at tier 1 with 0 epicness and no type. The tier of your horse affects what abilities it has. Higher tier horses give you different benefits. So a tier 4 horse, for instance, will stop you from dying permanently.
Yes.
You will never die from another hunt or adventure again. You also won't get the reward if you would have died, but at least you won't die.
You won't lose a level. Then you have horse type. The horse type affects different things depending on the type. So some horse types will increase your attack or your defense, perhaps your health. Check out the wiki for full details on all the horse types and what each type does.
So, your horse type will change whenever you breed, your horse tier may increase when you breed, and you can only breed with a horse that is the same tier as yours. So tier 1 plus 1, tier 2 plus tier 2. Welcome to your first mandatory multiplayer part of the game.
Yes. So most people like to breed with the same level horse.
The reason for that being that because levels cost coin, you can easily find yourself having spent a lot of coin on leveling your horse only to watch it go piss in the wind as you breed it with somebody else's horse and watch you get half as many levels.
Yeah.
So, Dungeon 1. To dungeon, you are going to need enough stats to not die instantly, preferably. You can find good values for these on the wiki, but for Dungeon 1, let's start with 30 to 35 defense being a good number, and it doesn't really matter how much attack you have.
You need a dungeon key, which you buy from the shop, and you also need a dungeon partner who has the same max area as you, and you both need to have the RPG dungeon cooldown available. So this is the next major multiplayer component of the RPG. It's possible someone can carry you through a dungeon, which basically means they have enough stats to only take 1 damage per turn. So if you die in the dungeon, it doesn't matter because your partner will just be able to keep going until they kill the dragon. I don't recommend you rely on carries.
And in fact, we really strongly encourage that you don't get carries.
Because Getting carried means you're not actually ready for the dungeon, which means you haven't got enough stats up, which means you're unlikely to have had enough time to farm the materials you need and get the mob drops you need.
This game will let you play it wrong.
It will.
It really will. It will let you play it in a way that shanghais you and stops you going further.
When you are truly ready to do the dungeon...
And you will know when you are ready.
The best approach is to get onto one of the major servers. Again, we'll list them out in a minute. Now, on the official Epic RPG server known as Eros, there are actually looking for partner channels. In these channels, the common practice is to advertise what dungeon you want. So D1 for Dungeon 1, D2 for Dungeon 2. So your max area is 1, you're going to do D1. Max area is 2, you're going to do D2. And whether you can carry or need a carry. If you don't know what can carry means, you don't even specify need carry.
No. You specify need carry all the time unless you can carry, just in case some twit decides to come and ping you for a dungeon cooldown thinking that maybe you can carry because you didn't specify anything, discovers that you can't carry and then gets mad at you. Because it is really, really, really rude to do a dungeon with somebody who needs a carry if you can't carry yourself. So, if you can't carry, if you aren't 100% sure that you're going to take 1 damage from the dragon every turn, you specify need carry. Now, at every stage of this game, and I do mean every stage, like, we still ask a lot of questions. Ask questions of the community. Get onto public Discord and stuff and ask questions. And I know you have social anxiety, you don't want to ask questions, you'd rather do it all yourself. And you really don't want to be the new person in the room going, but I don't know how this works. Seriously.
Except in the public questions channel, you'll be among many other people who feel exactly the same way. So that gets us to where you should play and where are these public channels that you can ask these questions. Let's start off with Eros. So the Epic RPG official server again is the main hub for all things RPG related. This is the official server. So on there's community events, you get your new updates, is all on Eros.
But there's a big but.
There is a big
Eros.
but with Eros. And that is, it isn't really the place to play the game. There's commands channels that you can run, but there are some commands, mainly your bigger multiplayer commands like Mini-Boss and Arena, that just don't work there. They've been banned.
It is nice to play in your own quiet space. We do. Mm-hmm. We play in our own private channel. Lots of people install the bot to their own Discord server. I mean, the bot is now on over 500,000 servers, if the server count is to be believed. And we'll cover how to install the bot and get it set up in a later video.
Yeah.
If you just want to get going, if you just want to start playing the game and you just want to start running some commands and see what's actually going on, there are 4 major servers that people do play on and have quite large communities, and the communities on all of those servers tend to overlap both with each other and the Eros server. And you'll notice, if you stick around and you watch this channel for a while, you'll notice we do community catch-ups. That's to try and cover sort of what's been going on the various servers and highlight some of the bigger names or lesser names or whatever in the community.
More interesting things that happen.
Now, what are these servers?
You have Oasis, Blackstone, Celestial Realm, and our personal home, Bamboo Forest.
Not that we're going to try and promote any one server over another.
No, I still use Oasis every day.
That sort of covers off, I think, the major items of Epic RPG.
Yeah,
this is a very long-winded video. I hope you get some use out of it. I've been MT.
I'm the Violet Bombshell.
We'll catch you on the next community catch-up.
Bye.
Or our catch-up. See ya.
So,
wait, we wrote notes for this bullshit?
I didn't, you did.
Oh, yes, blame it all on me. Anyway, wax on, wax off, wax on, wax off.